The bike won't let me rev above a certain RPM right now. Probably because the engine's cold still. Let's see if we can go through the modes here. Bluetooth, music, display. Let's check out the temperatures. 117 for coolant, yeah, pretty low still. Alright, what is up YouTube? Today I'm riding the 2023 Harley Davidson Nightster S. So this is actually Harley's entry-level bike, if you want to put air quotes around that. The bike comes in at $13,500, so fairly expensive for an entry-level bike. I think Harley is wanting to become an exclusive brand. They don't want to make bikes for everyone. They're kind of done with the beginner bikes. The last time I rode the line of Harleys was back in 2016, I believe. And so I rode pretty much the whole lineup. The 883 Sportster was probably my least favorite. It felt a little underpowered, but I did like everything else. I just rode the Sportster S, which is the sporty cruiser. Very fast. Now this bike has the 975cc engine. It should have quite a bit of power. Not as much power as that Sportster S I just rode, which was insane in the power department. But this bike should have some decent power, being almost 1,000 cc's. Now already, I like this seating position a little bit better than the Sportster S. It feels a little bit more Harley to me. The Sportster S is more sport bike. This one, my arms are up higher. You can see the bars are a lot taller. If you go watch my Sportster S video, you'll see my hands are lower. I'm a little bit forward. This one feels more cruiser-esque to me, and I do like the seating position. I'm sitting pretty much straight up, and my arms are outstretched to reach the bars here. I don't have a ton of room to relax my arms, so I can let them rest a little bit, but it is pretty much pulling my arms out. But on a cruiser bike, you kind of expect that. I kind of like that on a cruiser bike. I like that this bike has a gear indicator. Not that you need a gear indicator. For me, jumping on all these test ride bikes, I do like having a gear indicator. I'm not familiar with the bike. Sounds pretty good. It's fairly quiet for a stock bike. It would sound great with some pipes. Now you can see this bike has a ton of technology. Over on the right controls here, we have the kill switch and the start button. You can select different modes. So there's, I don't know what that is. I don't know what the A is. There's rain mode, road mode, and sport mode. Obviously I'm riding in sport mode today. And then there's some different controls for Bluetooth and navigation settings, traction control button, voice control as well. That's pretty cool. Go around this corner here. Feels good around the corners. Pretty easy to lean over. It's got some good power. I wasn't even on it fully over there, and it's pulling pretty good. I'm in 4th gear right now. We could probably lower the gear count here and get more power out of it. But yeah, 4th gear, running under 4,000 RPMs, going 47. So it has a bit of power down low. Like, you can roll on the throttle and there's power. It'll lift up the suspension in the front. This bike does have traction control and ABS, so some nice technology added to it to make the riding experience a little bit safer. And you can potentially ride it a little bit harder, knowing that you have those fail-safes in mind. On the left side controls here we have cruise control. So that's pretty nice. They put cruise control on this bike. You can look through the pages on the digital display here, and it's very visible during the daytime. I have no issues with the digital display. I'm wearing polarized glasses right now, and I can still see the digital display no problem. I do like these little displays that Harley's putting on a lot of their bikes. I think it's good, very informative, but not distracting. You can actually hook up GPS from your phone to this bike. That's awesome. You know, back in 2016, the bikes didn't have any of this technology. They were still making the same bike over and over. Just a new model year. I like that they put technology into this bike, because if you're going to ask for all these price increases on the new bikes, and they're pretty steep price increases, then you should have some technology to go with it. This bike only has 100 miles on it so far. It feels pretty fresh. So sitting at a stop here, bike feels actually pretty light. Doesn't feel like a heavy cruiser under me. My knees are pretty bent here. I'm 5'11", so you can see a very low seat height, pretty attainable for most of the riders out there. The seat is pretty comfortable already. I do like the seat. It's got a little dip at the back to hold your butt in place. Taking off from a stop is fairly easy. The gear shifter is a little vague. It doesn't give me a big clunk when it goes into gear. It's kind of just like a subtle click, but you'll get used to it. It's a little vague on the shifting, but like any bike, you can ride it, practice, and just get used to how it shifts. So we're in 4th gear here. It feels pretty stable going down the road. I'm getting pushed around by the wind a little bit. It feels like a fairly light bike when I'm at speed. I know a lot of bikes do, but I feel like I can flick this pretty easily. And so it's fairly well mannered at low speeds. It rolls on and off the throttle very easily. Oh yeah, that's some good power right there. Wow, that's some good pull right there. I'm very impressed with that. It pulls a lot faster, a lot stronger than the Vulcan S, and even my Suzuki Boulevard 800. Yeah, they definitely added some power to this bike. The 883 Sportster, the old one, and the 1200, they weren't the fastest bikes. Feels pretty good to lean over. Not as sporty as the Sportster S, but still easy to lean over. Now I do feel some heat coming out from the right side onto my legs. We're only doing city riding here, so it's pretty common for the bike to get warmer in the city. But yeah, there's a little bit of heat on my right leg. It's not too bad so far. I don't really have an issue with it yet. Just something to note. Low speeds here. Bike is pretty easy to balance and manage at slow speeds. Really revving it out here. Okay, so I do feel some heat on my ankle. Now, typically your ankles wouldn't be exposed. Honestly, I really like this bike so far. I think it's got more than enough power for anyone. I would say it's not really a beginner bike just because of the price. That might restrict it from being a beginner bike. I think it has a little too much power for a beginner, I'm not gonna lie. Although the question is, if you are a beginner rider and you want to start with a Harley, what bike do you get? You might have to go to the used market. Now the brakes are a little bit more touchy than the Sportster S, but I feel confident knowing this bike has ABS. The brakes grab pretty well there. So I've been on the ride for a few minutes now. The seat is still very comfortable. So I like the seating position still. I'm not having any issues with my back or my arms being out. And at low speeds here, it's fairly easy to balance. You do have to give it a little turn. It does want to lean. The mirrors are right on the end of the bars, so they give you a good view of the road without being blocked by your body. You do have to be stronger on the clutch. It does require a little bit more pull than some of the other bikes I've ridden, but taking off from a stop is still pretty easy. Now the downshifts aren't as smooth as a Sportster S. It does like to clunk a bit on the downshifts. Not a bad thing, just something to compare. There is a rear seat on this bike. This bike would perform pretty well with a passenger. You'd still have plenty of power for anything you need to do, and it would handle fairly well with a passenger still. It feels very stable at speeds here. There's a little bit of wind gust, but I feel pretty planted in the road here. It has that cruiser weight to it, but it doesn't feel overly heavy, which is good. And you do have power in really any gear. I will say I like the Sportster S for handling a little bit better. It does handle corners. It feels lower to the ground than this one even. And so I'd take that one with handling, but this one I think is more going to give you that cruiser vibe. The Sportster S isn't really, I don't know, it feels like an Indian bike. It feels like a sport bike almost. This bike feels more cruiser. And so this bike will give you more of the cruiser Harley classic feel than the Sportster S. I'm pretty impressed with this bike, honestly. I'm glad that Harley really added some technology to their bikes, because like I said earlier, the price tag, I think the price tag warrants some extra technology, extra features. I like the amount of power they put in here. It's definitely sufficient. It pulls pretty hard. So yeah, I do like this bike. 13,500 is kind of what they start at. Pretty good bike. You're going to be happy with it for quite a while. Kickstand is tucked under there. Kill switch, just like that.